In this lesson, we'll cover family files and templates. So you may ask, well, what is a family file? A family file is really any content that you're placing within your Revit project. For example, in structure, this could be a beam, it could be a column. Now, where we can see elements or family files that are already preloaded in our Revit project is in the lower left in the project browser area. If you scroll down in the project browser, you'll have a group called families. And if you expand families, you'll see a variety of families with content that is already preloaded into your current Revit project. For example, let's scroll down, expand families by clicking the plus, and then scroll down to where you see structural columns. Click the plus to the left of it. Below structural columns are the families of structural columns currently loaded into this Revit project. And below each of those are specific sizes of types of each of these columns that you could use inside of your current Revit project. Now, to view the information of each, simply click on one of them. For example, I clicked the 300 by 450 millimeter column. Above it displays the actual properties of this structural column that I could use within my Revit project. Now, if you want to use an icon to launch this, you could do it from the Structure tab. So if you click the Structure tab, and then in the Structure panel, you click Column, what you're presented with now is a drop-down list of the columns that are currently preloaded into your Revit project that you can use. So right now, here are the three families. You have these different types of columns, and each instance or different type based on dimensional values that you can place within your actual structure project. I could simply choose one, and then that's the one I'll be placing. And you can see your mouse is actually holding that column on the actual screen. Instead of placing it, just hit Escape to cancel it. Now let's say you don't have all of that content loaded in. You need to load a family in for your structural project. Well, to do that, you can go to the Insert tab on the ribbon, all the way to the right in the Load from Family library, click Load Family. By default, this will open Revit to either the US Imperial or Metric library of where you can load elements in. And this is a variety of things, ranging from architectural components to MEP components to structural components. There's also detail elements for your details and annotation elements and sheet elements for your sheets and your annotation needs. If I scroll down to structural columns, I see I have a folder for it. Double-clicking it will open a subset. Here I can pick a subset. Maybe I want to look at a steel structural column. And below that, then I can choose this type of column that I'd like to place within Revit to actually use. So for this one, I could choose the HSS Round Hollow Structural Section column. Selecting it, clicking Open, will now give me a variety of different types based on dimensional values that you could load into your Revit project. And I could select one, or I can hold the Control key and select multiple ones. Now, you don't want to load all of these because it's a lot of space, and your Revit project will grow astronomically in size, unless you need those. So recommendation would be only load the types, in other words, the dimensional ones that you want for your current project. You can always go back and load more. So I'm just going to load these four. Click OK. That loads these four into my structural project. Now, if I use the column command, and seeing this, go back to the Structure tab, click Column, click the drop down in the Property area, and now here are those four structural column elements I loaded from that family. I have the four types based on the dimensional values, and I could choose each one to actually go in and manipulate. Now, if you wanted to create or modify one of these types, or look at the data of how they're actually built, first you'd actually select it in the Property area, and then below that you can click Edit Type. This will open a new window showing you the information of this type. Now I can see I have structural elements, dimensional data, even other attributes listed below that. Now, if you want to actually create a new one or modify something here, I would actually duplicate this. I wouldn't modify the original. Always keep the original as a rule and make a duplicate and then change its name, obviously, and then modify whatever dimensional value you want to. That's what I could do here is click the duplicate button in the upper right. Go ahead and click Cancel though. Now, if you wanted to actually build a new family element, you could create a new file based on family type. For example, in the upper left, click the large R, hover over New, and then click Family. Revit will then ask you next, again, either English or metric units, what type of element are you making, meaning what family should belong to. And you can see there's a variety of different family types here. And if I scroll down far enough, I'll eventually get to the structural elements. And this is where I could choose, for example, for what we've been doing, structural column. On the right, you see a layout grid laid out for you for designing and building what this element looks like. On the bottom, you see the family template file has an extension of RFT. So if you click Open, this will basically open up a new canvas, highlighting a new part of the ribbon for building your family content. Now, we're not going to go into that in depth for this lesson, but this is the avenue that you would take to actually build this. Although there's a lot of content that's on the web for free, so doing a search will probably lead you to a website or a manufacturer's website for the 3D content you're looking for. To get out of this, just click the X in the upper right to close the file. So as a review, in this lesson, we looked at family files and templates. We looked at what is a family file. Basically, that's any content you're placing within your Revit model. For structure, it could be a column or a beam. We looked at the properties of a family type, such as a column. We looked in the project browser in the lower left to see the families and how they're grouped. We also looked at the property of an individual family type column. We looked at loading in families and types if they currently don't exist within our Revit project. And lastly, we looked at creating a new family based on a family type template.